Asian Paints is India's 15th largest company. It made all of its money just by selling paints. Today, Asian Paints control more than 50% of the market, a feat Asian Paints is maintaining for the last 4 decades. Getting successful is one thing. Maintaining that success, that too for more than 40 years, that's a record in itself. In this video, we will decode the Asian Paints secret for success. If you are a business owner or planning to start a business, Asian Paints has some valuable lessons to offer, which can change the fate of your business. So stay tuned till the end, and without any delay, let's get into the story. That was the year 1942. The world was in chaos. World War II was on and British forces were fighting Germany. Back in India, the independence movement was in full force. Tatas and Birlas were expanding their business empires. In those times, the paint industry in India comprised of very few foreign companies and some Indian players like Shalimar Paints. The majority of the paint and the raw materials were being imported from other countries. Due to World War II, a temporary ban was imposed on the paint imports to India. This created a perfect opportunity for Indian companies to do paint production in India. Spotting this opportunity, a 26-year-old entrepreneur, Champaklal H. Choksi, along with his 3 friends, started Asian Paints in Mumbai. Choksi was really good at identifying consumption trends like what consumers are buying, how their taste and preferences are changing. Based on that, he would frame strategies which really helped in making Asian Paints the giant as we see today. Back in 1940s, all the paint companies in India were concentrating on industrial paints, where companies would supply paints to industries like automobiles, defense, medical equipment, etc. But Choksi chose to concentrate on decorative retail segment. Decorative paint is nothing but the paint used for homes, in which companies sell paints to customers through dealers. He bet his fortune on the consumer-facing segment of the paint business. Back in those days, people were not using paints for their homes. Instead, they used to use dry distemper or chuna, which is made up of chalk and lime. Choksi wanted to change this market. He wanted to build a business where a handful of distributors control the market and through them, paints reached to every nook and corner of India. But the journey was not easy. The distributors in cities like Mumbai and Pune were not interested in Choksi's idea. So Choksi and his partners concentrated on rural markets, where they used to sell paints directly to the shops in villages instead of selling them through a distributor. It did 2 things. One, the shopkeepers felt important as the Asian Paints was directly dealing with them. It created a good relationship and a positive image among the shopkeepers. 2, Asian Paints was able to provide paints at a better price as there is no intermediary. Asian Paints' ability to understand the patterns is legendary. We can understand it through this example. During the Pongal festival in Tamil Nadu and Pola festival in Maharashtra, villagers worship their bulls and decorate them. One of the decorations was painting the horns. Choksi saw a business opportunity here. Okay, what is the business opportunity? Farmers needed a bright color paint for the bulls and it should be in small quantity. Also, cattle stick their horns into mud, so the paint has to be long lasting. So they captured this market by releasing small 50 to 100 ml paint packs. Similarly, the people in Tamil Nadu paint the bottom panel of the front doors of their homes in red and yellow. It is considered auspicious. Even this was a market opportunity for Asian Paints. Choksi's ability to find these small patterns helped them to build a strong brand and the demand for its products started to pick up. Dealers in small towns and cities started to stock them. Even the larger distributors who once rejected Asian Paints now started to partner with them. This strategy of concentrating on rural India and delivering the untapped customer demand accelerated Asian Paints' growth. Asian Paints was kept noticing these gaps in demand. In cities, for example, they noticed that there was no mid-range quality paint. The low-cost distemper had the tendency to peel off the walls, stick to clothes and used to smell badly. Whereas plastic emulsion paint was free from all these problems, but it was 5 times costlier. So during 1950s, Asian Paints launched an innovative product, washable distemper or tractor distemper, which was free from all the problems of distemper and less costlier than the plastic emulsion. This was supported by highly successful advertisement campaign, which said, "Don't lose temper, use tractor distemper." Asian Paints even launched its mascot, Gattu, the mischievous kid. This mascot appealed to the middle class and Asian Paints became the popular brand. In 1967, 25 years after starting its business, Asian Paints became India's largest paint company by revenue, and its competitors were Berger Paints, Kansai Nerolac and Asco Nobel. With the growing business, Asian Paints understood the importance of technology, and we are talking about 1970s. They were the first Indian company to buy a mainframe computer. But interestingly, this computer was not used for payroll or any administrative process, but it was used for demand forecasting, which helped the company to improve its supply chain and also in ensuring the right amount of stock available at the right place at the right time. This was the single largest competitive advantage for Asian Paints. In 1974, a major modernization program was undertaken to improve paint production. Factory layouts were changed, old machinery was replaced with new machinery, capacity was extended, and at every step, technology was used. Meanwhile, its competitors were nowhere, they didn't act quickly, and by the time they realized, Asian Paints was far beyond the reach of competition. In 1984, Champaklal Choksi's son Atul Choksi became the managing director. He further expanded the business by launching Utsav and Royal in interior paints. He also ventured into international markets like Fiji, Nepal and Australia through joint ventures. While Asian Paints was growing, its competitors were making mistakes by concentrating only on the premium segment. In 1997, Champaklal Choksi passed away. His son Atul Choksi had differences with the other partners. In a surprising move, he sold his 9% stake and left Asian Paints. After this episode, Asian Paints hired Booz Allen Hamilton, a management consulting firm, to guide them on the future strategy. The first step was to revamping its IT infrastructure. They bought supply chain management system from i2 Technologies, which automated the demand forecasting, production planning, and raw material procurement. They have also implemented ERP in the year 2000 across India. These IT systems improved their efficiency and helped them in better planning. This was combined with various acquisitions in countries like Sri Lanka, Egypt and Oman. Even today, Asian Paints is the defending champion in paints market. It is the single largest player. But what is the Asian Paints secret for success? Let's first understand what supply chain is. From the point the raw material is purchased from the supplier till the point the product reaches to the customer, there are different people involved in the process, like supplier, manufacturer, logistics partner, warehouses, distributor and retailer. All of them commonly called as supply chain because they are dependent on each other like links in a chain, and how efficiently they operate decides the fate of a company. Supply chain is a very important aspect for a success in paint industry because the stock should be available when the customer needs it. Otherwise, customer will move on to other sellers. Asian Paints supply chain was world class. We are talking about data analytics today, but Asian Paints was using this since 1970s. It helped Asian Paints in better inventory management. Company was also able to forecast accurately where a certain type of paint will have a demand. Based on that, it used to stock inventory in a nearby location. Right product at the right time. Asian Paints even integrated IT in dealers network, where if a dealer wants a stock, he can order online, and the company encouraged dealers to order online by offering them discounts, and the stock will arrive on the same day. Over the years, Asian Paints built a strong supply chain network which is hard to replicate. Asian Paints have strategically placed factory networks across India, again based on the analytics, and all its distribution centers placed near its factories. These distribution centers act as inventory storage centers, and based on the demand, the stock is sent to different locations. Asian Paints earn 1500 crores per factory, which is more than double its competitors Nerolac. Asian Paints also have a largest dealer network in India, 35,000 dealers. Compare that to Berger, 21,000. For Asian Paints, dealers are its family. Many dealers say that Asian Paints has gone beyond the line to help their dealers if they face any issues. The dealers' trust on this company is on another level. For Asian Paints, paint business is the single largest contributor of wealth. Over the years, the founders of the company refused from diversifying their business into unrelated areas, whereas its competitors diversified their business into unrelated sectors like financial services and weighing machines, which ultimately led to fall in their market share. Okay, why is it important to concentrate on your core business? Asian Paints understood that its supply chain and brand are the drivers for its success. So it spent decades into developing a strong supply chain and continued innovation by releasing new varieties of the paint. Instead of concentrating on too many businesses, it concentrated on one and became a master in it. Asian Paints was not trying to be jack of all trades, because then you will be master of nothing. Technology was an integral part of Asian Paints' strategy from demand forecasting to production. Over the years, it helped Asian Paints to cut cost. For example, in 1980s, Asian Paints Mumbai plant used to operate with 1600 workers. But by 1985, a new factory in Hyderabad with the same capacity was run by 100 people. Asian Paints' understanding about its customers is better than its competitors. Since its inception, company deeply inculcated the culture of staying close to customers. It also used the information from its distributors. This helped the company to launch products which customers want. It may be the washable distemper or the small packs or different shades. As a result, when most companies were concentrating on industrial paint, Asian Paints built its stronghold in retail market in small cities and rural areas. Asian Paint's secret to success is its widespread supply chain network and manufacturing plants, and its deep-rooted relationship with dealers. Both of these are built over 7 decades and are nearly impossible to replicate by its competition. Along with all the factors we discussed so far, having a strong and consistent leadership at the top, hiring top talents in the country, and consistently innovating and coming up with new products. All these factors combinedly created a massive paint empire, which is so complex and so strong that it is impossible to even copy. And that's how a monopoly called Asian Paints is built. Thanks for watching. Hope this video helped you in understanding the Asian Paints secret to success. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section and share this video with others. See you in the next one.